What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So The Athletic just dropped a pretty interesting list going over their NHL trade value rankings, where they ranked the top 100 players in terms of overall trade value in the NHL, also including some prospects, I believe, on this list. I have not seen it yet. We're going to go through it and react to it right now. I'm going to throw out my own personal top 10 that I gave out this summer. I definitely would change some of it right now. I believe Connor Bedard is number 2. I wouldn't throw him outside of the list like some overreactionary people would do, but I would move him down some spots. But we're going to go through their list right now. What is this going to be based on? Of course, it's going to be based on stuff like how old is the player? Are they in their prime, out of their prime, aging out of their prime? What's their contract right now looking like? Are they on some extremely team-friendly deal, or are they expiring UFA or RFA and they're going to need a massive payday? For example, I think Leon Draisaitl is going to be not that high as you might think, considering he has an 8-year deal kicking in at $14 million. That's saying he's not worth $14 million, but it definitely goes from one of the best deals in the NHL to just like a fair market value deal. And as you can see, what's more valuable between a young cost-controlled defenseman with a bright future or a proven top-line guy who has 1 year left on his deal, for example? But yeah, I'm very interested to see. I imagine, as it said at the top, Connor McDavid, number 1. Tier 1, they don't have Connor Bedard anywhere. I understand moving him down below Nathan MacKinnon, below Akil McCarr. Miro Heiskanen at number 4, Quinn Hughes behind Miro Heiskanen. I get Heiskanen, it only makes like $8.45 million the next like 4 or 5 seasons after this. It's a great deal. I think I would still have Quinn Hughes ahead of him, potentially, maybe even Adam Fox ahead of him, also as well at 9.5, although that is $1 million more. No Draisaitl. I understand that, again, because he's making $14 million, but they do have Austin Matthews, who makes 13.25. Granted, Austin Matthews is 2 years younger. Barkov makes sense. I don't think that's overreactionary to him winning the Stanley Cup. He has another 5 years at like $10 million and is about as consistent as it comes both ways of the ice. But yeah, no Bedard. No Bedard. How much are they going to snub him? This is tier 1 franchise superstars, I assume, on great contracts. Bedard behind David Pastrnak. I don't know about that, man. I can see the argument for Draisaitl, just because Draisaitl's proven it, even though he has this mega deal. And I get Pasta has this 11.25 that has been great value, especially last season. This year, not so much. I would definitely have Connor Bedard ahead of Pasta. I think he definitely should be at least number 8 in that top tier. Jack Hughes, I would also probably have in that top tier. I understand that he's not really looking like maybe his 2023 form. He's been playing much better of late. But yeah, he's still only making $8 million the next like 5 seasons after this. That is still, given the contract in the age, he's only 23 years old still. I think you got to put Jack Hughes, although I do tend to overhype Jack Hughes a little bit. Tim Stützle makes sense, only making $8.35 million. He's back on track to being that franchise superstar, well above point per game. Celebrini 13. You might say that's early. I understand where they're coming from. I personally would have him top 15, even though he's played 12 NHL games total. He's looked really good in them. His end-to-end rushes, there's 2 stats floating around. His end-to-end rushes and board battle win rate or win rates per game, he's like top of the entire league. It's very impressive what he's doing right now. Matthew Tkachuk, 14, makes sense. He makes only $9.5 million for multiple more seasons. McAvoy and Dahlin ahead of Fox. I don't get the logic on that. McAvoy makes the same amount of money, I think roughly for the same amount of term, and Fox is just straight up better. That's not even up for debate. Rasmus Dahlin, I still think Fox is no doubt better, and he makes $11 million. I get he's 2 years younger. That's weird. And that Adam Fox not even being in that same tier, weird. I don't like that one bit. And I also am an Adam Fox glazer. I will admit that, even though he's a Ranger. Leo Carlson, 17, like that a lot. Still hasn't proven himself to be that franchise superstar, but is still playing really good. Had a really, really good rookie campaign. Ducks on the whole aren't scoring a lot this season, so his point totals aren't that high. I would still have Kucherov probably ahead of both of them, but I would knock down Fantilli some spots. Kind of has not been that impressive to start this season, especially defensively. He's been pretty brutal. Brady Tkachuk, very high. I feel like Brady Tkachuk gets a little bit overrated just because he is that ideal physical power forward. But I understand that. I definitely would have Brady Tkachuk top 30. Matvei Michkov, I would have ahead of Fantilli and Carlson at this point. Maybe I wouldn't have him top 15 like a Celebrini, but I think he's got to definitely be like top 18, top 17. Eichel, Point, Fox. Again, I just don't get how you have Rasmus Dahlin and McAvoy so much ahead of Adam Fox, and then you have Adam Fox next to Noah Dobson. And I say that as a New York Islanders fan. I don't think that they're in the same realm. especially because considering Noah Dobson is going to get at least $8.5, $9 million most likely. It's not like he's on some extremely cheap deal relative to Adam Fox. Wyatt Johnston has definitely slipped a little bit. I still think that this is fair. 21 years old, still has a ton of potential. Shesterkin, it's tough to do goal. I would probably have Shesterkin lower just because he's about to get $11.5 million. It's great value right now, but he's not that young, and he's about to get a mega deal. I still think he's the top 2 goalie in the NHL, though. Rantanen, Rantanen is tough because he's about to get paid as well. And Nylander, you can't. I would bump Nylander down some as well at $11.5 million. I'm not going to lie, just because he's on that mega deal. Vasilevsky. Ooh, Vasilevsky at number 30. I guess that does make sense if they're going to have the 2 other goalies that you think of relatively high. Kirill Kaprizov all the way down at 37. Maybe you're baking in that he's going to get 13.5, but that's not until the season of 2026, 2027. He's on one of the best contracts right now in terms of this season and next in the entire NHL at only $9 million. Rupe Hintz, I guess, is signed longer. Luke Hughes is, oh my God, Luke Hughes at 32. Seider, he's playing very good with Simon Edvinsson this year. I got to shut up about anybody with Detroit, considering Seider and Raymond are balling. I can understand that. Luke Hughes is having a little bit of a disappointing start. Kirill Kaprizov just being at 37 doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Pedersen does make some sense because he got that massive bag and has been disappointing. Panarin, he has been performing like an $11.6 million. He's been performing like a $14 million player of late, but he is like 31 or 32 years old, or maybe he's even older than that at this point. But yeah, he's pretty old. Slavkovsky, that's fine. Hedman, I probably wouldn't have this high just because he's 34, 35 years old and still makes a pretty penny. Matthew Boldy should be higher. If you're going to put Jake Sanderson, Luke Hughes like that high, you got to put Matthew Boldy, who's only making $7 million the next like 5 seasons. And he, even before his breakout, what is looking like his breakout this season where he might go for 40 and 40, 45 and 45, he was well above $5 million, especially having Matthew Boldy that close to Matty Beniers, who makes the same amount of money. Yes, Matty Beniers is younger, but it's not close. Artem Leshinov, first prospect here that hasn't played a single game, 44th. That is crazy. I'm personally not as high on Leshinov as others. He was my number 5 prospect in the 2024 draft. I had, obviously, Celebrini, Demidov, Lindstrom, and Parekh ahead of Leshinov. So I think that's ridiculous. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Ahead of established guys. Ahead of like an Alexis Lafreniere that's locked up at 7.25? No, 4. I don't know. I forget the deal exactly. But low 7s. That's a great contract. Nico Hischier, I'd move up some spots considering he's on a very cost-controlled deal. Jake Ottinger, now that he's locked up. Yeah, Owen Power, Leshinov over Owen Power just doesn't. I get Power is on some big deal, but even if Power lives up to the way that we think that he is right now, 8.35 isn't going to be that much of a cap hit. It's going to be a good deal in like 2 to 3 years if he continues to develop. Ahead of Leshinov, who hasn't played a single NHL game, and his AHL numbers are pretty lacking, and some people haven't even, like the people that are watching them say that he hasn't played that good. Interesting. I'm not. Dylan Cousins at 58. Oh, dude. Ahead of Seth Jarvis. That makes no sense, dude. Nobody is in their right mind is trading Seth Jarvis or Dylan Cousins. I'm sorry. Oh, Sam Reinhart should be higher too. I get that he's a little bit old, but he's at a very reasonable $8.6 million and is proving that last year wasn't a fluke. He is a legit top 30 player in the NHL. Nick Suzuki needs to be ahead of Dylan Cousins. Demidov, that makes sense. I'd swap Demidov and Leshinov. And then I'd probably move Leshinov down even further. I'm not going to lie. That is crazy, the Leshinov placement. Matt Barzal, I can't hate on that. He's making $9.1 million. That honestly might be nice the way he started out this season at $9.1 million. I'd move Lucas Raymond up. I'm defending the Red Wings here. I'd move him up at $8.07 million. He should be well worth that throughout the tenure of his deal. I'd move Tage Thompson up. That's weird. He's still only 26 years old. Last year, clearly, that was an complete outlier, but he's closer to the player I think that he was in 2023 than 2024. He's on track to yet again bounce back in a massive way. He actually just got back from injury as I'm recording this on Wednesday. But yeah, Tage Thompson needs to be higher. He's making $7.14 million the next like 4 or 5 years. Josh Morrissey also is on such a team-friendly deal. It's $6.25. Boyum, okay. Byfield, Smith. Yeah, don't give up on Smith. People are giving up on Smith. He's still very young, and he'll figure it out. Berkeley Cadden, I respect that positioning. Beckett Seneca, I would not have that high. I would not have Beckett Seneca ahead of Brock Faber. Mika Zabinich at 81. What? Cole Caulfield below Mika Zibanejad. Like, Mika's old and he's bad right now. What is the logic there? That's the worst placement. I'm sorry. Like that is he's 30 years old. He's not playing like an $8.5 million centerman. He has multiple years left at 8.5. That's crazy. Gunther as well. Like Gunther on a very team-friendly deal at 7.1 million for his entire prime, most likely. Keandre Miller at 91. I don't mean to sound like a Rangers hater. First off, Robert Thomas, 9 spots below Mika Zibanejad. Be fucking for real. What are we doing? Keandre Miller is too high. Keandre Miller shouldn't be on this. I'm sorry. Lindell is on an extremely team-friendly deal at $5 million for his age 22 through 27 seasons. Nicky Shin, sure, he's been killing him in the KHL. Slavin needs to be higher. He's locked up at like $6.35 million. I know he's 30 by now, but that's a very team-friendly deal. Olmark, I probably wouldn't have on this just because he's been so bad. But Joel Eriksson at 98, I forgot about him. He's making $5.25 million. I'm not trying to advocate for him being like top 50, but genuinely over the next 4 seasons, he's on one of the best contracts in the entire NHL, and they have him 98th. And Ryan Leonard should be higher. I'm sorry. Like, Ryan Leonard is Ryan Leonard might be a top 3. I'm trying to think about it. Ryan Leonard might be genuinely the second best prospect in hockey when I update my list. I'd take him over Nicky Shin. I'd take him over Yakimchuk. I'd take him over Seneca. Like Ryan Leonard's the fucking truth. But I'm editing it now, but from the editing bay, Kyle Connor at 96 is also absolutely insane. I went to Joel Eriksson at first, but yeah, Kyle Connor has another like year or two at $7.1 million, and he's somehow below because of Zibanejad. I saw something about, I think at the bottom it said something. Yeah, wait, let me read this. You think of all these kinds of scenarios with this group. Who says no to Hyman, Beckett, Seneca, Zibanejad for Mason McTavish? I think the Rangers would say that yes to that basically right now. Like, I'm not going to lie. Just get younger and actually a cheap guy. But yeah, let me know in the comments. What do you think about it? I usually love the Athletics lists and stuff like that. Their models. I think this was a miss. I'm not going to lie. But let me know in the comments. What do you think? I'll be seeing you in the next one.